Hi there, I'm Julie, and this is my YouTube channel, Best Ever Marriages, and I'm so excited to talk to you today. This is the first video of many to come. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my story and why I'm here. So, I have a degree in communication studies with an emphasis on interpersonal communication, but more importantly, I have probably felt exactly how you feel now. My marriage has definitely seen some rough spots in the past. It has been pushed to the brink of divorce. But we're here, we're happy, we're thriving, we have a healthy marriage, and that's what I want for you. And what I want you to know, more importantly than anything else you're going to see in this video, is that there is hope. Yes, you can save your marriage. Yes, things can turn around. And yes, you can go from surviving to thriving. We aren't made to just survive on any level, individually or in our relationships. It shouldn't just be this grunt and grind and get through the daily rigmarole routine, the dullness of life. It should be thriving and joyful and happy and exciting and just full of life and vibrancy. So if your relationship's not there, I want you to know that you can get there, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, my marriage, I was 20 years old when I got married. So, I got married pretty young. I've been married for 15 years. And we started out pretty good, and then things started to get a little rougher. We stopped appreciating each other, and we started focusing on little annoying habits, things that were bothering us. One of our biggest mistakes is we started setting rules, like, you have to put this stuff over here, or you're responsible for sweeping every Tuesday, or you do this way. The more rules and the more red tape there is, the more easily it is to piss someone off, because you're gonna break the rules. It's just gonna happen. Like, the more red tape there is, the more there is to remember, the more likely it is that you're gonna screw up. And then when you screw up, your spouse is mad at you, and now you're in a conflict, right? So this conflicts come from not meeting someone's expectations, whether that's in opinions or just in actions or behaviors. That's going to create conflict. So maybe not the best way to start out. We had lots of rules and lots of broken expectations. And then we started dealing with some, bigger stuff. My husband's active duty military. I was active duty for 6 years. And we dealt with deployments for 9 months at a time, 3 of those. We had TDYs and classes, and just lots of job stress that was pulling us away from each other. We unfortunately experienced some pretty traumatic stuff when we were trying to have kids. I had a cancerous miscarriage. I also had 2 stillborn sons, and the grief weighed really heavily on our relationship. That was a really dark time in our marriage. And then we also just had a lot of, like, not appreciating each other anymore, like just starting to pull away from each other. And we started to go down this spiral of, okay, what's in it for me? You're not being nice to me, so why should I be nice to you? You're not saying nice things to me, so why should I say nice things to you? What are you doing for me today? Why do you deserve this from me? And that is just poison for a marriage. It is incredibly toxic, and it puts you on this downward spiral, like you're going down the toilet drain. It's just this constant negative feedback loop. I'm negative, so he's negative. I'm negative, so he's negative. And you go down and down and down until you just, like, flush your relationship down the drain. So what I did is that someone has to decide to step outside of that spiral. Someone has to say, okay, enough is enough. I don't want my marriage to get flushed down the drain. You might have a lot of reasons why for that. Maybe it's you have kids involved. Maybe it's because you really do care about your spouse. I mean, you had to have loved them at some point or another to get into a marriage with them, I would hope. So, you know, there's probably genuine feelings there that you do care about this person to some degree. Maybe it's money. Marriages, divorce in and of itself is really expensive. If you throw alimony in there or child support in there, dividing estates, it can get really, really, really expensive. So you probably have a really good motivation to save your marriage, which means that you have a really good motivation to step outside of that negative spiral. And that's something you can do today, okay? And I hear you already. I hear your thoughts. And you're thinking, Julie, I'm not the problem. They're the problem. Well, I'm going to give you that. And I'm going to say that you're probably right. They could be doing things better. I have no doubt, because all of us could be doing things better. There's always something that you can improve upon. But you cannot control your spouse. You can't. You cannot make your spouse do anything. You can't. You can't control their actions. You can't control their thoughts. You can't control them, period. The only thing that you're in control of is you. And you can decide that you're going to step outside of that negative spiral. And that means that you stop contributing to your marriage in a negative way. Because everything that you do, everything that you say, every behavior you have, every action you take, contributes to your marriage in a negative way or in a positive way. And here's the thing, even if you're doing nothing, even if you say nothing, you step back and you're not participating and you're not engaging in arguments and you're just doing nothing, you're still contributing to your marriage in a negative way, because your spouse isn't getting what they need from you. They need interaction. They need affirmation. They need kindness and love and respect. They need to have things in common with you. They need to be able to rely on you for those types of interactions. So if you're giving them nothing, then you're still contributing in a negative way, because your spouse isn't getting what they need. So you can choose today that you're not going to contribute to your marriage in a negative way anymore. And you're going to replace those negative marriage habits with positive marriage habits. And you're going to start putting positivity back into your marriage. Well, how do you do that? There's a lot of great ways to do that, and we'll get into some of those in future videos. But just to start off, showing appreciation for your spouse is huge. I mean, it's huge. It'll disarm them like that. If you can just say, I really appreciate this about you. Thank you so much for taking care of that for me. That by itself is so powerful, so powerful. And you're like, well, Julie, there's not a lot I appreciate in my marriage. They're not doing anything for me. Are you sure about that? I mean, maybe it's a matter of reframing, because I could take almost anything and turn it into something that you could be thankful for. You're like, oh, they're lazy. They lay around all day. Well, they're very committed to self-care, and they're setting a great example on how to take care of themselves. I know that if you were to think about it, if they're working, they're contributing to the household. They're bringing home a paycheck. They're helping put food on the table. If they are really into hobbies and activities, then they are coming up with fun things that you could do together. There is something there. I promise there is some quality there that you can be grateful for. And just showing appreciation for even the smallest thing, throwing something away, wiping off the counter, holding the door open, anything like that is going to do, that's just marriage magic. That is going to help your marriage thrive and move you into a positive direction. The last thing I wanted to talk to you about is how you get the outside negativity to kind of die down and back away. So I don't want you to focus only on what's going on in between you and your spouse. I want you also to consider what's stressing you out. Not just what's stressing your marriage out, but what's stressing you out personally. Because whatever's stressing you out is stressing your marriage. It is stressing out your spouse. So if you have chronic stress in your life, not only is that really bad for your mental health and it's really bad for your physical health, it's also really bad for your marriage. Maybe it's outside relationships, people that don't need to be putting any input into your marriage, but they're, too involved, family members, external friends, things like that. Or maybe it's financial stress, maybe it's parenting, maybe it's your health. It could be any number of things. But if there's something that's stressing you out, it's also stressing your marriage out. And that is huge. So learning how to eliminate those chronic stressors, that's what Best Ever Marriages is all about. Eliminating the chronic stress makes you a happier and healthier person. And a happier, healthier you means a happier and healthier marriage. So we're going to dig more into that in other videos, but I hope that this was helpful. I hope that after you watch this video that you can make that choice to stop contributing negatively to your marriage and find some ways to start contributing positively. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video.